Yo people, LSM here. It's time to talk about the best character in the entire game, Kimono Asuna. Asuna is having a limited banner right now. It will last for 7 days from the date this video was posted. And in my opinion, you should get her. She's the best character in the game. Don't miss your chance. Limited banner, PD334. Get her. Now let's talk about Kimono Asuna and why she is so good. First of all, Kimono Asuna is a area damage character and have away skills. But first let's talk about her exclusive talent. We have Lightning Flash. When a Kimono Asuna uses skills, so skill 1, skill 2, Climax or Cross, if the enemy have 70% or more HP, she will frail the enemy by this amount. It caps at 25%. This is by far one of the best exclusive talents in the entire game, because the condition doesn't matter, since on Decrepit Dream and Psyche enemies don't lose HP, and story mode or events you one hit KO enemies because the damage increase is very high, so they don't survive to lose her buff, they simply die. And since it's the entire team damage, is very valuable instead of only herself. Now let's talk about her stats. Kimono Asuna is a year 1 character, so her cap of attack is 2000, and luckily for her she have full attack stat at 2000, and her speed is good. She is not too fast, not too slow, so she could fit a slow meta and a fast meta. Right now we are in a fast meta, so she can go after the robots if you need her to be, or she can be slower than that, with a good versatility to have. And most enemies on events and story can't beat her speed if she is fast with a high speed character like Kuryoki Hime. So if you want her to go first and frail everyone before they buff their defense or something like that, she can go first. Now let's talk about her skills. Starting with her skill number 1, we have Flashing Penetrator, 1 skill point, area damage. It deals damage at 194%, and it's the only 1 skill point away skill in the entire game. On ST side we only have 1. And what this skill does after the damage stat, she will change her status to Absolute Void, which changes her climax and makes her skill 2 cost 1 less skill point. Now for her skill 2, we have Phantom Moon for skill point, area damage. The damage is low for skill point at 421%. This is the lowest damage a non-gimmick for skill point can get, but have extra effect. So after using this skill, she will enter Void Reaper, which makes Flash Penetrator her skill 1 costs 1 less skill point, and her climax will change to Flash Void Reaper. Now for her climax skill, we have 2. We have 8 climax point version, that is Absolute Void. It's a frail skill that deals damage at 324%. This is not important because it's a frail climax. What matters is the frail, and her frail is very good at 40%. It's the highest frail you can get on a climax, that's not some miracle, and for 8 climax points is also very good. So she doesn't do low damage, it's quite good the damage she does. This is near 3 skill points. Now for her other climax, we have a 12 climax point, area damage, and they have the standard damage of a 12 climax point at 1053%, but Kimono Asuna, when uses this skill, ignores all damage reduction and all shields, so you can't defense buff against her. If you want to stop her damage, you need to debuff her attack stat. Something to note about Kimono Asuna is that she starts the battle at Void Reaper status. So her skill 1 will be 0 skill point on turn 1, and if you use, then her skill 2 will be 3 skill point at turn 3, and this damage for a 3 skill point is very high. And since her start their battle at skill 2 stance, her climax starting climax is the 12 climax point, and using skill 1 we change to absolute void. Another thing about her climax is that when she is in absolute void state, if you already used her 8 climax point, she will automatically change to the void reaper climax, but we still will be on absolute void state. So her skill 2 will be 3 skill points and her climax will be 12 climax points. But if you do this inverse, if you use the 12 climax point first, then she will not have a climax anymore, and if you use skill 1, then she will be able to use her absolute void frail version. Let me show you how this works. Let's see her skill animations. Now let's see her skill 1 in action. We have her 0 skill point because, as I said before, she enters the battle in the Void Reaper state, and 12 climax point, so her skill number 1 costs 0. Now skill 2, she is in the absolute void after using skill 1, so her skill 2 is now 3 skill points and her climax is 8 climax points. Now for her climax skill, they have the same animation, but I will show you what I was talking about when you use her 8 climax point first. Again, the game is dying, and he's alive again. Let's keep everyone turn for more climax points. Now she have her 12 climax point, just like I said, and she's the skill 1 stats, so absolute void, but she have the void reaper climax skill. This only happens when you use her climax 1 first. If you use her climax 2, she will have a blank spot here. For visual demonstration, here I use her 12 climax point first. Now I will change her to her skill 1 for you to see that here she doesn't have her climax, but if I change her to void the thing, skill 1, she can use her 8 climax point. Here she can use her climax version 1. So when you use her 8 climax point first, she changes to 12 climax points without needing her skill 2. But if you use the 12 climax point, then you need to use skill 1 for her to change to 8 climax point. She can use 2 climax every battle, and if you refresh you can use it 2 times more, so she can use 4 climax skills every battle, which is quite good if you have enough climax point, doesn't have Ouroboros. Kimono Asuna can use 4 climax. Quite good in my opinion. Now to talk about her cross skills. First we have the cross with Lifa. It's a 3 skill point wand. As I say in all videos, wands are useless, but saw use because of the impressive weapon Olive. So if you go here on weapons, Olive, more damage against wound. So what you will do is that you use Kimono Asuna as a damage support character, where she only uses her cross skill and her skill 1, so that another DPS can get her bonus damage frail and the bonus damage from going against wounded enemies. But when Ouroboros came, they lose their purpose, so only if you don't have Ouroboros that you should try this, and if you don't have Alice support too. The damage is like a two skill point AoE, because it's a wound, so it can't hit like a 3 skill point. For her other cross, we have Kuryokihime support cross, 4 skill points, mid damage, single target, have the standard single target 4 skill point damage at 285. Both have the max attack that you can get at year 1, so this will hit very hard, and Kimono Asuna have her talent too, so big numbers. And when Alice support came, she got a cross with Kimono Asuna. Cherry Blossom and Ozomanthus, 5 skill point, area damage, it have the standard 5 skill point damage, but Alice also have full attack stat and Kimono Asuna have her talent, so this is the highest damage 5 skill point skill that you can use in the game right now. Let's see her cross skills animation. First we have Kuryokihime, normally the only partner that people use for her, because they are full attack and they have single target option. Crit damage. Now for Leaf Cross, 3 skill point wound, and she can trigger Olive Cloud for other characters if you use Kimono Asuna as damage support, because she gives her exclusive talent frail and the enemy is wounded, so they get your ally with Olive Wimp get 28% more damage when they do use their skills. Now for her last cross we have Alice support, it's a 5 skill point per damage, nothing in between, a bunch of effects, but that's it. These are her cross skills. Now about Kimono Asuna Awakens. She doesn't have any great effect, so Awaken 1, her skill 1 gets a damage increase of 6% when she costs 1 skill point. At Awaken 3, her exclusive talent instead of 70% is 65% to activate. And Awaken 5, her skill 2 gets a damage increase of 9.6% when it costs 4 skill points. I don't think they are worth. You are using so many resources to get her to Awaken 3 or 5, but she doesn't get any meaningful buff herself. She have a Psyche, let's talk about it. Final damage taken, it's bad for her, she's a DPS. Defense 15%, but she's a DPS. And attack and final damage at 6%, which are good stats. So she's only missing the crit damage here for full DPS stats. It's a good Psyche, but this could be better. She could swap these values here. Instead of defense, she could get attack instead, because even if it's for the other characters here, they are all DPS here themselves, so they don't want defense. Now let's talk about her Elementium. Kimono Asuna already was very strong, She was meta for more than 1 year in the game, and she is the best character that you can bring on any stage in the game. The only problem is that she is not part of any meta team, but let's see if her Elementium changes something. First we have her module, her true mind. In battle, she gets 1 climax point every time someone uses a climax skill that costs 8 or more. And after gaining the climax point, she increases her own damage. It caps at 4.60, 20%, excuse me, 4.20. So at max level, at 3 climax, that the number of attacks she can get, her damage buff is 12%.60. Yeah, 12.6% the damage buff after 3 climax that she gets 3 stacks. So first let's talk about the only buff that really matters for her on her Elementium, time with you. Just by being in battle, you get 1 skill point every round. So it's 3 skill point. It's very OP. It costs only 1 soul because you only need the reflection. Belief trait you already have unlocked, so you need 1 soul to unlock reflection. 100% worth. If you have Kimono Asuna, pick this for her. Now let's talk about the other effects. I have here a Reddit post that someone did with all effects that her Elementium have. So the Yearning Life. Sadly, this is a dual blade Kirito effect, because beginning of each round she heals the ally that have 35% HP or less by 30% of her attack. This is basically saying the dual blade Kirito, after he uses his buff Elementium climax skill, he doesn't have HP, so Asuna will heal him so that he doesn't die. Sadly, it's not a good pick. And her third buff, Blades, in terms of dance. So every 2 rounds she will buff every ally damage by 5%, 5.40%. If you are asking why is this every other round, like round yes, round no, it's because Yuuki main can extend this buff for herself. So the reason that she doesn't buff everyone every turn is because Yuuki main is the game favorite character, and this buff is designed to work better with Yuuki main, which is very sad, but still it's more damage. So if you want, you can lock. All you need is to pick this generic here, because vocation you don't need for time with you. You also need resolve as trait, so you got resolve here. In this case it's 1 here, and reflection grow, so you pick generic because you need 2 different traits. Reflection you already got for time with you, so you can get this for 1 soul if you don't want the skill point, but this is the best effect, so you always want to get this one. And this thing here you can ignore, don't pick this. It's dual blade Kirito buff on quotes, but just to help keep him alive, but he doesn't die on most stages even if he loses all HP, because enemies don't do enough damage. But who knows, maybe they will make an event that this will be useful just for people that have dual blade Kirito Elementium flex their high score, since his climax damage is insane. Now let's talk about Kimono Asuna after her Elementium. She still is the best character in the game. She became again the best character in the game. It was Misaki, because Misaki's battery is also frail. Now Kimono Asuna does the same thing but a little different. She have the damage herself, she have a better frail than Misaki. The only thing that doesn't make Kimono Asuna a decrepit dream meta is that she doesn't use enough skill point. So when you are on the Decrepit Dream, you things are all about 2 batteries, Kamineko, a battery, and a Climax character. We see here that she is being tested right now, but this is the best thing that you can get because the way that Angel Yuuki works, this thing here have the best composition for her because she can use 6 climax, and on this one she can only use 5. And because Kimono Asuna doesn't use 6 skill points like Misaki on AoE, she doesn't provide enough climax point for Alice to use her climax skill. But what she can do is that she can become the climaxer herself instead of Alice. So let me pick the Alice Spantian here. So this is the Alice Spantian. You use the 6 Alice climax and 1 Kamineko on the last round. You need Ouroboros at Awaken 5. Kamineko Awaken 3, and Misaki battery for the thing to work. But you can't replace Misaki because if you use Kimono Asuna, you don't use enough skill points to allow Alice to spawn every turn and get enough climax point for Kamineko. But one thing that you can do is that you can make Kimono Asuna spawn instead of Alice. She have a worse climax, but the thing is, this thing is cheaper to build because you can make it work with Awaken 0 Ouroboros if you have Kamineko Awaken 3, or if you don't have Kamineko Awaken 3, you can make it work with only Awaken 5 Ouroboros. So if you swap Kimono Asuna instead of Alice, yeah, the team becomes cheaper, but it's a little weaker. So you can pick what you want more: 6 climax for Asuna or 5 climax for Alice if you don't have everything to make Alice uses her climax 6 times. And in my opinion, that's it. That is Kimono Asuna on the new meta. If you go here, as I said before, if we go on the single target thing, she can make work with every single target that is faster than her, but Taiga isn't, so mostly Yuuki main because she's very fast. Let's speak here. She what? Why can't I use Yuuki? What? Why did she got deleted? So anyway, because Yuuki is faster than her, she can be used with Kimono Asuna. She can pair with any 10 climax points that are faster than her, but she doesn't work the same as Misaki because Yuuki Angel will miss 1 climax use on her best team. But if you don't want to use Misaki, you can try those 2. And that is it. That's Kimono Asuna in the new meta. She is the best character in the game, but she is not part of any top 10 the Decrepit Dream meta. So, short version, get her. She is too good to pass out. All you need is 34. Ignore all other characters. All you need is Kimono Asuna. Bye people. Good luck getting her.